Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the questions. Please flood me with more. Let's have the first one.
Out of all the fights you've ever watched, what's one fight where you've genuinely looked into the fight and you've seen that both men were willing to die in the ring?
I guess Marvelous Marvin Hagler against Thomas Hearns. Those 3 rounds which were inexplicable. Michael Watson and I. I can also remember going to Memphis, Tennessee to watch Lennox Lewis fight Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson said at the end of the 7th round, "This man is too big, he's too powerful, he's awesome, I can't do anything against him." He didn't quit on his stool, he got up and walked out for that 8th round and allowed Lennox Lewis a clean kill. Clean! A knockout which would have killed mostly anyone. That's the heart of kings. Mike Tyson was not my hero for nothing.
Good afternoon, Chris Eubank. I'm just wondering, is there any advice, any motivation you could pass on to someone like me who's losing the motivation into the sport of boxing?
You had better keep on watching this particular channel, because I will give you nothing but fuel. Don't laugh, because this is the human condition. It must have been about a month, no, 2 weeks before the fight. It must have been about 2 weeks before the fight. And I was wondering whether I could actually ask Nigel, you're already so well known, and I've been working so hard for this opportunity, and would you believe this? I mean, I don't even know whether I even should say this. It went through my mind to ask him, please let me win. Let me win, and then you can, we can do a rematch and do something like that. But I've worked so hard for so long, like, please let me win. Can you imagine that this was a thought process that went through my mind? To which I quickly trampled, because there's no way he was going to listen to my woes. So, poor me. Of course he's not going to listen to that, It's like my spirit went, slapped me about and said, pull yourself together. Pull up your skirt and get into that ring and show him what you can do, because I'm with you. All the way, all the time. That's right, that's how the spirit works.
How to create the correct mindset going into your first amateur bout?
I can do this. I can do this. No? Okay, all right, okay. Let me see. No, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. Can I do it? Yes, yeah, I can do it. I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. I can do it. Okay, 10 minutes before the fight. Yes, I can do this. I'm here. I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. I'm in the ring. The referee says box. I can do this. I can do this. This is my first fight, amateur fight. I can do this. I can do this. Okay. All right. So, crack! I get hit right in the sternum. Okay. The shot was so hard, I stumbled backwards and I froze. Half squatting. And the referee said, fight over. That was my first fight. That's how you do it. What I taught myself is never freeze like that again, because they will stop the fight. You got to act like you haven't been hit. I was shocked, you see, of how hard the shot was. That's the truth. You learn by your mistakes. So, that fight took place at the Apollo Boxing Club on Jerome Avenue in the South Bronx, and that was in 1982. No, 83. Yeah, 1983. My first amateur fight, my first loss. And I believe Mike Tyson was actually on this bill. I always remember someone quiet, sitting on the side with his legs on the table, just watching. Yeah, just watching. And this was the same day I had a fight with one of the people who looks after him, Teddy Atlas. And I say that because it's a story and it's true. Why did I have a fight with him? That's another story for another time. Okay, all right, okay. I will give you the answer to whatever question you ask.
Well, Chris Eubank, I'm sorry that I'm a bit faced at the moment, but what are your predictions with your son's fight in April, I believe? Love the content, love your voice, and I hope he does well. Blessed.
With all due respect, young man, you never call me again and use that language on my channel. We don't do that. That fight that you're talking about, which the promoters have put in your mind, will not happen. It will not happen because it doesn't make sense. But if these people want to keep on trying to bury themselves, then be my guest.
Oh, Chris, I absolutely love your show, and I'm so happy that you're actually on the internet passing your words of wisdom. I'd be interested to know how you think you would have fared against the generation of middleweights before you, particularly the likes of Tommy Hearns, Marvin Hagler, Sugar Ray Leonard, and even the likes of Alaminta, Tony Simpson, and Vita Antuofermo. Plus also, who wasn't really a middleweight but did superfluously well at that weight was the Hands of Stone, Roberto Duran. Love to hear what you think, Chris.
Everything has its time. The energy during my time was Nigel Benn, Michael Watson. That was the time I was set in. When I look at the Fantastic Four and the names you've just mentioned, which are tremendous fighters, I thank the Lord that I wasn't in that particular energy, because they were demigods. They were brilliant. And, going into fights against men like you've just mentioned, like with Ben, like with Watson, it takes years of your life. You have, these men had the ability to actually take your life. That's how great they were. So I'm going to go to Thomas Hearns, who lost against Marvin Hagler, Mr. Marvelous. He died at 66. The style that Thomas Hearns had, which he wasn't able to use in that fight because of the pressure that Marvelous Marvin Hagler put on him, was his jab. His jab was like a piston. Beautiful. Absolutely astounding jab. And I tried, I copied, and thousands of times replicated this same jab, of which I was able to use during a fight against Henry Wharton. It was truly beautiful. And we'll do an episode where I go over that particular fight. And again, the feelings of which I carried during, before and after. Copying the greats is intelligent. Thank you for your question, and I hope you can, with all due respect my answer.
Good evening, Mr. Eubank. My question is, how is your favourite way to spend New Year? And are you proud of your son following in your footsteps of professional boxing? And that's for me, Miss Melody Moon. Okay, thank you, bye.
Okay, Mrs. Moon. New Year's Eve is always with my soulmate. It was her birthday a few days ago. She wanted to plant a tree, nothing else. How can you not be in awe of this mindset? Wow. I'll give you a tip. Money actually does grow on trees. See whether you can work out that riddle. Am I glad my son followed in my footsteps? Yes, because he can now see what I had to go through. And even more so, around 4 years ago, he decided he wanted to do it his way. And so, he got a completely new team, and, they have been running his career ever since. So, yeah, I'm very happy that he chose boxing. I'm saddened by him thinking that he was going to find another group. I had one man around me, Ronnie Davis. Yeah, Barry Hearn, he was my promoter, but Barry, he wasn't sticky. It wasn't about him. Barry was a gentleman. He stayed his distance. The person who was around me all the time, who protected me, the person who gave his life up for me, was Ronnie Davis. He was with me 24/7. I've always said this is the best trainer I've ever had. And he was. He looked after me, not himself. He didn't put himself first. He didn't put his family first. He put me first. He gave up everything for me. That's right. The only criticism I have of Ronnie Davis, he didn't do it again after this. He did one thing that, I put my foot down on him. I told him we are going to New York City. We are flying Concorde, and from New York City we are going down to West Palm Beach. This is my time off. You know, it's 3 or 4 days. Okay, you're coming. No, Chris, I don't want to come. I want to stay in Hangleton. I want to stay. I want to go. I want to do my 3.5 mile walk every morning. That's what. Ron, I said, this is Concorde. He said, I don't care about Concorde. I don't care about West Palm Beach. I want to stay home. I said, Ron, you have a job to do. Do not let me have to. He said, all right. That was Ronnie Davis. That is Ronnie Davis. He is really, really something.
Hi, Chris. So you're world famous for your boxing, but we also know and love you for your stupendous vernacular and way with words. So my question is this. What are your most fun, aesthetically pleasing words that you just love to say or hear?
English. The King's English. Okay. What word jumps out at me? Utensil. It's delicious. It's delicious. You know. I mean, what do you say to that? You know, do you have the correct utensil for me? English. Okay, let me talk to you about some words. I'll make it quick. I'm acting. Always I'm acting. Okay. But these are two men speaking. Okay, it goes as follows. But that was nothing to what things came out from the sea caves on Crick Earth yonder. Well, what on earth were they? Mermaids? Dragons? Perhaps ghosts? Nothing at all of anything like that. Well, what on earth were they? All sorts of queer things. Very strange on Welsh. Utterly peculiar things. Things never seen, nor heard, or written about. Solid enough they seemed to touch. Had anyone dared it, they were marvelous creations. All various shapes and sizes and no sizes. All new, but each perfectly unlike his neighbour. Tell me, did these things have legs? Not a leg nor foot among them that I saw. But tell me, did these things come out in any order? I mean, what o'clock was it? What was the day of the week? Who else was present? I mean, how was the weather? I was coming to that. It was 3:30 on Easter Tuesday last. The sun was shining. The Harlock Silver Band played Marchog Jesu on 37 shimmering instruments, collecting for the Carnivorans Fever Hospital Fund. The populations of Pwllhili, Borth, Portmaddock, Tramadoc, Crickerith and Pendindindruth were all assembled. Crickerith's mayor dressed and versed in good Welsh and then in fluent English. You should have seen him, twisting his fingers in his chain of office, welcoming these things. They came out on his hand, not keeping time to the band. They moved seaward silently at a snail's pace. But then the most odd, indescribable thing of all that hardly one man there could see for wonder did something, and it was recognizably a something. Well, what? It made a noise. A frightening noise? No. A musical noise? A noise of scuffling? No, but a very loud, respectable noise. Like groaning to oneself on Sunday morning in chapel, close before the second psalm. Well, what on earth did the mayor do? I was coming to that. The English language is sensational. Okay, all right. My name is Christopher Livingston Eubank.
Would you be angry if I approached you for a selfie?
I mean, my reputation in terms of giving people time is legendary. Trust me on this and try it as an experiment. Whenever you see someone who is famous or who you like, who you don't know, who is supposedly famous, you say, hey, I know you, and go over to them and hit them with your elbow or touch them or shake them and say, hey, I've seen you, I like you. You know, hey, give them your name, okay? Now, the celebrity or the person will respond in kind. Why? Because you've treated them as normal. If you go to someone, oh, I don't want to disturb you, you're making them shoo you because you are treating them as though they are different to you. They're no different to you. If you meet someone in the public eye, treat them like they are your friend. How would you greet your friend? Hey, you mate, I've seen you. Hey, come here. Hey, I've seen you. I like you. I like you. I don't care. I like you. I like you. You'll find that they want to stay in your company. Imagine now you get a celebrity or a person of note who says, excuse me, this is, I'm in my own space here. Don't you should know better. Don't you know who I am? To which you would say and should say, excuse me, everybody, this person, he doesn't seem to know who he is. Can someone help him? Yes, that's how you treat somebody like that. Okay, they're nothing more than people.
Do you think fighters nowadays fight often enough?
The more you fight, is the better you become, especially when you're in your 20s. The more you spar, the better you become. Yes, there is damage you will get in sparring, which is why you have to practice what your first teachers teach you. Don't get hit. And they teach you 10 to 2, 10 to 2. Never stay at 12. When you stay at 12, you always get hit. Straight neck, chin up, you get knocked out, you get hurt. You always go side to side. Sparring is a must. Fighting, most certainly 4 times a year. If you're fighting any less than that, you are being managed incorrectly. I don't understand people fighting 3 times a year, twice a year. I do not understand that. That is very poor advice.
Hi, Chris. I was just wondering, Muhammad Ali, he said the central part of his training was dodging the nightclubs and the girls and the parties and going to bed by 9 o'clock. Did you follow Muhammad Ali's advice in your training? And what do you think of this statement? Do you think this is the most central part of being a successful boxer? As only an amateur boxer myself, I happen to agree with this. I think going out partying has cost me many a fight I could have won had I stayed focused. What do you think of Mr. Ali's statement? The great Muhammad Ali's statement, sorry.
I may not have had the discipline to go to bed at 9 o'clock, but I was asleep by 12. When I went to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning because I couldn't sleep, I still had to get up and run at 5:30 in the morning. Do you understand? I had a schedule for boxing. Boxing was first. My feelings or my tiredness was secondary to that. That's how you do it. He was absolutely right. Discipline is what makes warriors and kings.
Hi, Chris. As a proud Brightonian myself, I'd love to hear the story about how you discovered Brighton and fell in love with it.
Well, simply put, my brothers were living here, Simon and Peter. I was in New York City, and they were boxers, they were professional boxers, and I was learning to box in the United States, and I suppose I always knew they were training by the sea, and that just became a figment of my imagination that I would train in Brighton. And so that's what happened, and that's how I have the affinity with Brighton, that it was the ground on which I stomped my position on the world in terms of this boxing position that I was able to acquire. How can you not love Brighton? By the sea. Sometimes I look at the sun and I see it walking on the water. And then the sun walking on the water comes to shore, and then you lose the sight of the sun. And then you look down by your foot and you see your shadow. And then you're looking again at the shadow of the sun. Wonderful.
What is your go-to exercise for better conditioning as a boxer?
My go-to exercise is the spirit. I recite in my mind all of these passages of wisdom which continuously reinforce the brilliance that lives within me. The same brilliance lives within you. I just recite all of these spiritual wisdoms to remind myself of who I am. And when you do the same, it will happen for you too. Yeah, it works. And who better to tell you than the tough guy? So you thought, the tough guy. There's nothing tough about me. Tough is ignorance. No one's tough. You put any guy into a freezer for 5 minutes, a big freezer, like a meat freezer. Pull their pants down, after about 3 minutes you see them start, ooh, ooh, ooh. Yes, no one's really tough.
Hello, Chris. Pleasure to send a voice note to you. What is your top 3 list of US presidents?
A little strange will be the answer, but the first I would say is Jack Johnson. The second I would say is Joe Louis. The third I would say is Muhammad Ali. I say this because in the times they were alive, their names were more important to the people than the presidents. So, well, thank you very much indeed for all your questions.